right, some Saturday NFL action is coming to a close here as this Ravens-Steelers game hits the 2-minute warning. I click the record button on the video. We saw four of perhaps the seven best teams in the AFC play today. You can tell just the atmosphere of playoff winter cold weather football is really starting to hit at this point in time with these two games that we saw today, especially this Ravens Steelers contest, which is where we're going to start. If you're new to the channel, what I'm going to do is kind of monologue about the game, and then I'm going to switch over and show some of the stats, and then we will do the same thing for the Chiefs Texans in the second half of this video. The Baltimore Ravens, I presume, are going to win this game 34-17, and this was a really, really big win for Baltimore. There is no other way to put it, and this win, this game, again, really signified the importance of paying Derrick Henry and being one of the teams that invested in the running back position. Derrick Henry today was an absolute monster, and as the weather gets colder, he becomes a harder guy to tackle. And as the games get tighter, he's a guy you can rely on. The dude had 7 yards per carry today. And the efficiency of this Ravens offense has been top tier all season. And they finally get over, the thing that's been weighing them down. Can they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? The Steelers have their number. Can they win the division? And as we head to the end of the season here now, it's like, whoa, Baltimore went from being, potentially a wild card team to they could be a 3 or a 2 seed. More likely than not a 3 seed, but they could be hosting a playoff game. And then all of a sudden, if in the divisional rounds we saw Baltimore in Buffalo, it's like, hold on a second. Baltimore kind of owned Buffalo this year. And then all of a sudden, obviously, it could be Kansas City in front of Baltimore, but we are living far in the future there. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from the game here. Why don't we? So as you can see, the game's not officially final yet as I'm recording, but we're right there. And as I mentioned, the glaring numbers: 24 carries, 162 yards, 6.8 yards per carry for Derrick Henry. He even had 2 for 27 in the receiving game. This is why you pay the running back. We've seen it with the Packers and Josh Jacobs, the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, and the Baltimore Ravens and Derrick Henry in a big spot in what was a must-win game for Baltimore, because if Pittsburgh wins this game, no matter what happens the rest of the season, they lock up the division, right? They become an 11-win team. Baltimore stays at 9, 2 games left. They beat them both times head-to-head. That's where it would have stood. Baltimore winning this game, 1, secures them a playoff spot, but 2, keeps them alive to win this division. We'll see how things go the rest of the way, but with Pittsburgh having both Kansas City and Cincinnati left on their schedule, this leaves a real opening for Baltimore to go and win this division. So that's huge. Lamar, another really solid day, 15-23, 207 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 115 passer rating. Like a very great day. Lamar's numbers this year have been insane. The fact that he threw an interception in this game, it's his 4th on the year. The guy is really showing off his passing ability this year. I think that this is Lamar Jackson's best season as a passer, and he highlights it week after week. Some people said that he's, going to be the MVP, or he should be the MVP. Ultimately, I think him and Josh's numbers are close enough that it'll probably just go to the guy whose team has a better record. And considering the Bills finished the year with Patriots, Jets, Patriots, it'll probably be Josh. But Lamar is having just a freaking outstanding season. Mark Andrews finds the end zone again. The big thing with this Ravens team, though, that I've seen over the last month is the defense is finally up to championship caliber. Because even in the beginning of this season, there was no doubting how good this Ravens offense was. They were putting up these numbers from week 1. It was, can the defense get to good enough? They're not the best defense in football overall, probably not even top 5. But with players like Roquan Smith, Matabuke, Kyle Van Noy stepping up, Marlon Humphrey with his first career pick 6, you have Kyle Hamilton at that safety spot. There is enough stars on this defense to supplement maybe some talent gaps elsewhere when they've lost out on guys like Geno Stone, who was who was their leading interception getter last year, and Patrick Queen. To supplement those losses, they have figured it out. They have 100% figured it out. In the last month, they mentioned this on the broadcast. The Baltimore Ravens are the best defense on 3rd down. That's huge. You have to be able to get teams off the field, especially in the playoffs. When you're playing, Mahomes, Allen, whoever it may be in a playoff game, you have to get them off the field on third down. And the Baltimore Ravens defense can certainly do that. I was really impressed with Baltimore's performance today. Division rival, division game, short-ish week, I suppose. Kind of a really big must-win spot for them. And they didn't just come out and win, but they clearly looked like the better team in this game. It didn't look particularly close. Baltimore controlled it all the way through. Derrick Henry, what more could you say? Take a bow. Baltimore defense, take a bow. For Pittsburgh, I think we are starting to see kind of some of what I said in the tier list earlier this week, and the reaction last week. Their margin of error is so small for this team to succeed. They greatly miss George Pickens. Calvin Austin is cool. Calvin Austin can't be your only guy. You see the next leading receivers, Jalen Warren, the RB2 on the squad. You just can't have that happen. I thought Russ played a fine game, but again, there's just limitations to this team offensively, and the defense has to be top tier. It hasn't been the last couple of weeks. The red zone defense has taken a dip in the second half of the year. I do have some concerns about how this defense can hold up in the long run, because we just know that offense is very big play dependent. I want to see them get George Pickens back. I hope he plays on Christmas versus the Chiefs, and we can get much more of a, okay, where's Pittsburgh at? Have they fallen off, or are they what they are, as long as everything goes right in terms of health? The margin of error for this team, it's non-existent. They have to play one way, and they have to execute it virtually perfectly to be able to contend with these teams in Baltimore, in Buffalo, in Kansas City, who just the talent gap is huge. When you are stacking Russell Wilson up to the three best quarterbacks in the NFL, you have to close that gap elsewhere. You have to. And they didn't today. They didn't against the Eagles. And these are the results that we're seeing. The more talented team is able to lean on them, run the ball down their throat, execute, and keep them away from having the ball. Well, I mean, the team stats. So what was the time of possession here? Just a 5-minute difference, so not too crazy. But for my money, it felt like Baltimore was out there a lot more. It really did. I mean, even in terms of passing, it's just 100 more rushing yards. Having Derrick Henry compared to Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, that'll do it. That will do it. Let's talk about Chiefs Texans here before we close out this video. Obviously, first and foremost, prayers out to Tank Dell. Nasty knee injury. Early reports saying dislocated kneecap. I hope that this is the extent of it. I really do. This is an injury that Patrick Mahomes had a couple years ago, if you guys remember. Geez, it might have been 5 now, but he suffered it kind of in the middle of the season, was able to come back towards the end. I do think no matter what, just with where we are in the season, Tank Dell's season will be over. But in terms of a 2025 campaign, if it's just that injury that Mahomes had, he should be able to get back out there. But obviously, it's way too soon to call. So, I mean, prayers out to that situation. I thought we learned not too much in this game, if I'm being completely honest. I think both teams kind of are who we thought they were. I was really actually impressed with CJ Stroud's performance in this game. I thought his ability to navigate the pocket, his ability to make quick decisions, and his ability to just bounce back and keep playing after the Tank Dell injury, it hurt to just see a man that emotional, because I think a lot of times with all the NFL we consume, we become just a little numb to the injuries that are happening to these guys. But you watch that and you see, CJ Stroud is seeing his best friend in the world's kneecap dislocated. I mean, I'm not putting the pictures in the video, but anybody who saw him, you know what I'm saying. It was pretty gruesome looking to watch, your best friend go through that. It's got to be crazy. And then it's all right, 10 minutes has gone by, get back out there. So I applaud just the Texans team for being able to do that. I think that's part of the reason that Kymie Fairbairn right after that missed the extra point. I mean, how could you just not be shook up after watching that happen to brother, teammate, best friend, whatever it may be? But let us dive into the stats of this game. So the team stats here, I know the general narrative kind of going around on the Chiefs is always the penalties. And yes, the Texans had more, 6 for 45 to the Chiefs, 2 for 20. I thought the most egregious display was Mahomes, they ruled it a fumble, and then the fumble turned somehow into a roughing the passer. I don't know how it happened. They didn't show the replay, or at least I'm not remembering them showing a replay. It was crazy. But I do think, just generally speaking, the narrative on the Chiefs' success due to referees has been blown out of proportion. Like, guys, these are the back-to-back champs. They're 14-1 this season. They're 8-0 at home. It's because of Mahomes, Reed, Spags, Kelsey, a good offensive line. They know how to win. They're going to be in close games because the offense, for most of the year, just hasn't had the ability to be explosive. Xavier Worthy's starting to come along, but obviously his traits for being drafted were his athletic abilities and his speed, not being a route technician. If he was the route technician that Marvin Harrison or Neighbors was, with his speed, he would have been the first pick. So obviously there's things they got to work on there. Then they lose Rashee Rice. Pacheco was hurt. Hollywood Brown played his first game today. Like, they've been battered pretty bad on the offensive side of the ball from a skill position standpoint. Travis Kelsey has obviously regressed. And, that's why this team's going to end up in a lot of close games. But they also are a team full of winners. You win back-to-back Super Bowls. You are coached by Andy Reid. You know how to win. And in these close spots, they win these one-score games very consistently. Because when they need a play, whether it's on offense or defense, they know how to execute. And, as much as I get it, we're tired of the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs, and it's this BS, and everything that they do is going to have a brighter light shined on it because they're Kansas City. I think it's also time that we just kind of pay them some respect. They have also dealt with a decent amount of injuries this year. Offensive skill players, some guys on the defensive end, they lose Snead, they lose Willie Gay. You can't pay everybody after being back-to-back Super Bowl champs and having, really good rosters. And they just keep progressing forward. And they're 14-1. They are 14-1. They have one loss this year. And it's on the road to the guy who's going to win the MVP award. They're 8-0 at home. The defense is excellent. So, the Chiefs, I give them all the credit in the world for what they're doing. And I was actually impressed by the Texans, man, because I'll say this, and I haven't done it on my tier list, and I'm not going to say everybody has, but there's been some Texans disrespect going around. There's been CJ Stroud sophomore slump, and I think it's a lot of box score watching, because you look at this box score, 23 of 39, 244, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, a 73 passer rating, and you think, like, not a great game. I thought CJ played really well, man. I thought the one interception was kind of just like hey, it's a third down, I'm just going to chuck it up, and if they pick it off, it's kind of like a punt, and I'm cool with those picks. The interception by McDuffie, I do think Stroud was just trying to make a play, and, ultimately that's one of the better corners in football. He got him. It happens. But I was really impressed by Stroud's pocket navigation, his ability to get the ball out quick. As somebody who plays fantasy football, I picked up the Chiefs defense going into a playoff game this week because I thought to myself, how is that Texans offensive line going to hold up against Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis? And the answer was better than I thought. But CJ, man, his pocket navigation, his escapability, his ability to extend plays, it really showed in this game. And in the first half, when Tank Dell was out there, man, they were moving the fucking ball. Like, this is something that would concern me if I'm the Chiefs. Going up against a team that has 2 strong outside weapons is going to be a problem for them with their cornerback 2 situation, because McDuffie can't cover everyone. And you watch Tank Dell pick them apart. And this was what could happen if they go up against Buffalo, because you have Cooper, you have Coleman, you have Shakir, you have a ton of weapons. If you face off against Philly in a Super Bowl, they have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. It's just something to be wary of on the Chiefs. I think it's one of their bigger weak points. Houston was able to attack it. Obviously, then the Tank Dell injury happens, and then your wide receiver 2 is Robert Woods. So, tough break there for Houston. Ultimately, though, they showed a lot of fight. I'm excited for what this team has in the future. CJ Stroud is still so young, man. I think he's like 21, 22 years old. The Texans got a bright future, but ultimately in this game, the Chiefs did what the Chiefs do, and they win football games. We'll be back up here tomorrow to react to Sunday Night Football, and then Monday to give you kind of an overarching Week 16 reactions, and then react to the Saints-Packers game on Monday Night Football. Tuesday tier list. Got a ton of great content coming for you guys. I'll be up here probably later on Christmas to talk about the 2 Christmas Day games. So, You know, if you love the NFL, you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that button. I appreciate the support. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.